Thank you for joining me for another episode on the Coin King channel. It's your girl, Down the Crypto TA, and I'm just going to kick things off here with Bitcoin, just covering some things that we may have covered yesterday. This is not going to be a very long stream. I am going to jump into some of the altcoins as well. But here with Bitcoin, yesterday we were talking about this, and we were just saying that we got the rejection once again here from our macro ascending trend line here, easily plotted from your monthly time frame here. So we got the rejection there. And we haven't really moved down too far. It looks like a lot, but we've really done nothing so far. This is just our candle right here. All right, moving down to our weekly. Actually, our daily chart, sorry. We're still holding the line in here. So we're still holding here within this range here. I dropped to a line bias. You can see we're still within here. So we haven't even quite lost this section yet. I'm looking at the opportunity for a long position a little bit lower. That's just if a couple of things that I'm seeing in the chart that look rather bearish play out. But at the moment, there's still a possibility that we come up and we do 131st. That means that we break that trend line from that monthly time frame a little bit more than what we've done so far. All right, but so far so good. Just still holding here within this top range here. All right, so here on our 4-hour time frame, I'm looking for this golden pocket here to be tapped, golden pocket 786. I'm really leaning more towards the 786 for potential entry. Right now, we're on, if I draw a fib from here to here, we're doing this fib here, this golden pocket here. This is not the one that I'm interested in. I don't understand why I pull it from here to here instead of pulling it from the low, from the exact low. So that's what I'm looking for in here. But as you can see, we're trying to bounce from here. We got quite a few wicks here at the top side. So, and it's the weekend, so we don't really have the strength right now. But, this is the weekend. All right. Here on our 1-hour time frame, you can see that we did fill in that gap completely. And the way that I drew out the gap was a little bit different than how you would see it on CME, because on CME, the gap would have been, I think it would have been up here, like right about where we have this little candle here. But there was a petty wick in here, a petty gap in here. And so I plotted my gap line on that. So I told you that you could probably get a really good entry for some sort of a scalp position anyway, if, price came down to here to finish filling in the gap yesterday. So that was something that we talked about, that gap getting filled. And then we could see over here yesterday here off of the 15-minute time frame, talked about the fact that we had this triple top in here, and we tried to come up one additional time here. And so that did not play out well. Then we could see the drop, and I was like, well, we come back down here into the green box in here, and we actually ended up taking the liquidity from the low of the green box here, and we're just back inside of it right now, trying to make a decision on continuing to move down, because I do think that golden pocket from from the low would be the target. It looks like we might be putting in some sort of an ascending triangle in here, since we are creating higher lows in here and we're kind of running flat here across the top. So this could be some sort of a ascending triangle, and we may get a push back up to back test the lows in here. So I have not reworked these zones in here. I'm going to leave them like they are. If you want to rework them, you can. I would probably do this candle here. This was the one from yesterday's news. I would probably do this one. It's not much of a change, honestly. So I'm just going to leave mine the way they are. And I shared with you yesterday how I did them. And it was this candle here. This candle here, because we got a nice reaction off of that candle. This is the candle that I use for this green box down here because we got a nice reaction off of this candle here. So just naturally, you'd be looking for price to respect it since we got such a nice reaction off of it. But this time we ended up taking the liquidity from it. And then we have another one that is down here. But I would just be looking for that golden pocket 786. And again, leaning towards the 786 here for Bitcoin. So nothing really here. Actually, let me go back and put us on the CME chart real quick. All right, so this is the CME, and this is how I did the gap for CME, and you can see here. So I'm sure most people or everyone else did theirs like this. And so that would have been your gap fill there. But if you look in here, and I'm really petty, I get it. You see that little small gap in here? I figured, why not? Why not? So that's what I set it to, the little smaller gap in there. And you can see that CME respected that very well for the little double bottom that it has in here right now. But CME is closed, and we will need to map out our new CME gap if we do start to get a push up based on that 15-minute looking like it may have an ascending triangle. Okay, let's put this back on the Binance chart here. All right, so I turned my levels off over here. I'm just going to turn those back on. I just wanted to do this so you can see now in a more serious situation here, what I'm looking at over here. Let's see. All right, so I'm looking at the lows in here. I'm looking at the lows in here being a target, and then we will want to hold. The way you're going to play this is I would not set a limit order on this. I would allow price to come down, break it, and then come back up. So really want to see it V-shape. Want to see it do this. In the event that this happens, this is how you want to see it. You want to see it V-shape, even if it takes out this portion here of the weekly range here, then you still want to see it V-shape. You can then move your entry for something like this instead. I would move it slightly in. Actually, I don't want to come in underneath resistance. So I would move it in. If we take the liquidity down here and we get the move back above these lows in here, that would be my entry. I would then move the stop to here. I would move the stop to here. Like you can change, what you're willing to lose on your position. You don't have to go along with this. You don't have to keep your stop loss this wide. It's just something that I'm thinking. You get the break and then you get the reclaim, and that's how I would plan this. But this would be, let's see here. All right. So this would be your golden pocket entry based off of this low to this high up here, just your golden pocket entry. So this is the first entry that I'm looking at, and it's actually, I think, the only entry that I'm looking at too. And the reason being is because when I turn on the ribbons here, it starts to get a little bit more critical if we start to come lower. So this is going to be your 200 here. So by the time something like this happens, unless something, I don't know, something major takes place, somebody says something, tweets something, and we just get a complete, hellbound candle, then this 200 will have risen up a little bit. And so you don't want to be in a position to where you're looking for something lower and you're underneath the 200 EMA here on your daily time frame. So this is the this will have to be the entry right here for me. This one. In the event that we do start to break this trend line here, Let's see, we've got 1, 2, 3 already. So I would think that we would break this trend line here on the next hit. We would break it, and then we would end up coming down here into the weekly range here. So I'm just trying to get as close to the bottom side of the weekly range as possible and not the top side. Now you can look at the top side and find interest in taking a long position from the top side as well, because we actually did not come in. We didn't come all the way in here, and there is the daily level in here as well. So let me see if I have that synced in here. Yeah. So it's the low of the box here for the daily level. So this is what I'm looking at. It just happens to line up also with the golden pocket. And then the things that I'm looking at with the EMA saying, hey, you don't want prices to go too much lower, because if they do, then we could be rolling over. Okay. All right, and I'm missing this one, which is our newest daily level here. All right, so right now we're just sitting in here. We're sitting in sitting against resistance. Now, if you look at the EMA ribbons in here, you can see, like I was saying to you yesterday, there was more room for Bitcoin to push down, especially after we got the 2 doji candles in here. Once price broke those 2 dojis, it made its decision. That was the point that price action made its decision that it was going to go lower once it took out those 2 dojis. And we can see that from the triple top formation that we had. And so we're just continuing to hit the resistance in here from the EMA ribbon here. So this is the 5 EMA ribbon that we're hitting right now overhead. And if we do try to push up, we will be met with more resistance. Okay. So we may just end up ranging around in here for a bit longer, but do be aware of the 200 EMA in here. Do be aware of that 200 EMA here for the 4-hour time frame. You can lose it, but if you lose it, then you'll probably end up coming lower. You can reclaim it, just like we did over here. We lost it. You know, we tried to hold on to it in here. We lost it, and we ended up reclaiming it. So just be aware of that. Let's take a look at the Bollinger in here. Let's see what we have going on here. All right, so we're just kind of still in between standard deviation 1 and 2 as well. That was the point where we lost the 20 SMA in here. Let me look at the other one. I think that this was also something else that I was looking at over here too. On the daily, it was okay. Since I know that I am looking down here at this zone here for a bigger correction here for Bitcoin, so you would get a bit of an expansion right here, and I think that would suffice the market coming into this level. All right. So that's Bitcoin at the moment. Sitting down, got to bounce away from here, from where we got the gap fill in at, and now we're just waiting because it is the weekend and liquidity is rather low. Again, looking to see if this could be some sort of an ascending triangle, since we are putting in the higher lows and we have a flat top. Could be an ascending triangle, and we could look for the move back up here to this red box here around 118,730 to 119,361. All right, moving along here. All right, a new entry that I took yesterday was BNB. We discussed BNB's 4-hour levels, and then when we came down and hit the top side of this 4-hour range in here, I entered into a long position. It just happened to line up with a few things in here. So I've already taken some profit on this trade here. So I entered at 816. You can see we got the drop in the reaction at 812.52, which was the top side of the box here. I did a market order in on it, and I've already taken some profit out of this. We're kind of struggling in here, so I didn't wait for the 2-to-1 to get hit. So I took some at 835. I still have the rest of the move open. This is the mark price right here. This wasn't where I took the price money out, so let me actually pull that one up, because that's just showing you that I still have the position open. So all right. So mark price just shows where you still have a position open. This is the one that shows you where I actually took some profit, and I took some profit at 832.70. So half of the position is still open for me. Just looking forward to get up here to make a 3-to-1 if that's possible. Right now we are hitting some resistance, and like I said, we were kind of struggling in here. So I did go ahead before we even hit the 2-to-1 and took some profit out on this right here. All right. So now Sui did get the drop back, as I mentioned to you yesterday as well, that I thought that we would come back in for the lows on the altcoins altogether after the pump, simply because this was a real reaction here. And this was a real reaction in here, and you can even say that this candle here was a real reaction. But from this point, this was basically retail, and I kept saying that this is probably retail in here too, because we're chopping about too much and they're stalling out price. We ended up getting some sort of a rising formation in here. We talked about the potential for a head and shoulder, not just on Sui, but on multiple other altcoins as well. And we just dropped back in here to our 4-hour I think this came from our 4-hour level in here. We still haven't made our way back up here to this block right here. So this is no longer resistance, and this is no longer any sort of a support. And take that away. We've done that. I just want to make sure I covered that again. I don't think that this is really doing anything anymore in here. Maybe. But I'm just going to delete that anyway. I don't think I need that anymore. All right, so we just basically just pushed into the golden pocket a little bit more here too. Oh. So you can see, we just pushed into the golden pocket a little bit more on the back. And I shared with you yesterday where I did enter this position, and I did take profit on it, but this was entered in from over here. So That was that. And then I did take some profit on this one. I do still have this open. It doesn't look like it's going to work out that well, but I'm holding on to it in the hopes that we do manage to at least get up to here, 204, because there is still liquidity here. Some pretty nice liquidity here to the upside here for SUI, but we are struggling quite a bit at the moment. This is something that I was looking at last night, making sure that we held that as support. See if I see anything in here. Money flows coming up, bear divs on it. This must be set to a 50. Adjust that back to 20. I set it to a 50. Anytime we start rolling over real hard on the lower time frame, it's good to extend your indicators out to a larger look back, a longer look back period. It's just really helpful. All right. Okay, and it looks like we're not pushing because we keep putting in bear divs too. So you can see how the high over here thus far is outpacing this at the moment, and then soon to be outpacing this one here. So that explains why we're not actually getting a nice push. Bear. Let me take this away. This ended up just being a good indication of the momentum shift back here. Bullish divergence. We saw the bear divs in here yesterday with that rise here on SUI. Let me look at a 1 hour. Let me take that money flow away. Take a look at the MACD. Really don't have any strength right now. The MACD is turned up a little bit in here. Once it crosses above, not just the zero line, but once it crosses above the delta here, you'll start to accelerate a lot more. Here for SUI, if we can get that. I just have to check back in on this. So right now in the 15-minute, it's just showing that we're putting in bear divs trying to get that rise up. We were below the dynamic cloud as well. And we are still below it. It's starting to look a little bit better. So, at least the RSI is starting to look a little bit better over here. Maybe we can make it past the 50. We know we're bearish because we're not even getting past the mean here for SUI. And then you want to watch that mean, reversion if it breaks up and then pops back down below that mean. A little head and shoulder in here. And that was that little head and shoulder that we were looking at yesterday. All right. So there goes SUI. I know the 2-day, I was looking at the 2-day, and the 2-day wasn't looking too fancy to me. Nasty 2-day candle right there. A little bit of a doji one in there. I was looking at It's not terrible. We're actually resting on the 20 SMA here on the 2-day time frame. That's what it was, because the SMA was riding up this trend line here. So the 20 SMA was riding up this trend line here. Let me see if we're still doing that. It looks like we are still doing that. No, it's on price action now. So you're pretty guaranteed to break this trend line right here once the 20 SMA is lost. And with this rise in here, that indicates that likely to flip down here, so likely to break it. And there is still a chance that we can push up, but whenever this starts to rise at the lows, it indicates that you might be pushing down. Whenever it starts to drop at the highs, it indicates that you can get a push up. It tends to work more often than not that way. Drop and you get a push up, rise, and then you'd be expecting a push down. Now I know you got the drop in here too, but yeah, when it starts to squeeze like this and this rise is above the 50, you're looking for it to break down. Let's see if I can find another good example for you. There really isn't another good one, because like I said, when it comes up, especially when it's above the 50, then that's your breaking point. So back here, this just indicates that there's the potential for price to drop here on SUI. So not really fancying the 2-day time frame too much. What was I saying about the RSI? I put in here that we do have the cloud cover here on the RSI and the negative MACD and delta in here as well. I mean, the MACD is still above the 0 line in here, but we do have the bear divs in here. We do have the bear divs in here on the 2-day time frame for the MACD, and you just add all that together, and yeah, we'll be getting a breakdown here on SUI. Yeah, that's the cloud cover here that I mentioned, the RSI cloud cover in here. So we are squeezing on the RSI. We'll see. You start to lose that 20 SMA, then you'll know that prices is more than likely going to break this trend line here. And then we see a push down on SUI. And right now, this is just looking at, because I drew it off of a different time frame. I'm just going to drop it in here like this. I just want to be prepared if we do get the drop and we do take that liquidity where we could go. SUI does tend to front run golden pockets. We'll see how that plays out there for SUI. All right, Ethereum, that did not work out. It didn't go any further. But when this the Ethereum position was taken, it was taken from over here. It was taken off of the bounce of 20 SMA too. That was one of the things that was looked at for here. I did indicate we come back up here to this 4707. Be sure that you locked in your profits, so that in the event that we reject here, because there was a high probability that we would reject here from the 4707, because when we came up, we got an initial reaction off of it, but then we came up and we started dancing on top of it. And here within this zone, So yeah, on the breakdown, you come back up and then you back test it and it becomes resistance for you. So that's what happened here. You got a second bounce off of it and another attempt to come up, and we didn't manage to do it. We ended up getting the rise over here, and we had the resistance over here that we couldn't break yesterday. And we measured out the um, head and shoulders formation here, which brought us back down into here, I think it was, but we ended up doing a lot more, of course. And this line right here, we had this on the chart. It wasn't on here yesterday. We had it on the chart before when price was coming up, looking for it to give some reaction. We actually broke through it and we danced on it back here, which is why I took it off the chart. But this what the stop loss was measured around this trend line over here, and you can see, that's what we're dancing on now. If you wanted to add this trend line right here, this is simply from the 3-month chart, and then you'll see it's this 1 wick over here on the 3-month chart. That's what it is. Because I was like, we have space in here. Let's just look at something else besides the 4-hour levels that I had added to the chart in case Ethereum had came up. And that's what we're dancing on right now, just that wick here. Trying to hold that wick as support. I do still think that Ethereum has a chance to come back to the point in which it expanded from. That's my base case for Ethereum, but right now it's holding, so hopefully we continue to hold in here and we can get the bounce away. I don't think that there was really anything in here. C3 still rolling over here on the 4-hour time frame. Did get the fast signal in here, so you got your fast cross in here, but we are still countering. Okay, so we're countering these lows in here at the moment as resistance, trying to get the push back in. And like I said, that 3-month 3-month candle in here. Bears are in control at the moment. I think that was the other thing in here too. Okay, so we're doing better in here now. Doing much better in here now. So we were bleeding out quite a bit. Still have a negative MACD here on the 4-hour. Now, if the MACD starts to break below the 0 line, then, like I said, we could be coming back to where we expanded at right here. And we would just leave behind a wick. We still got time in this month. That was something that I did discuss here about Ethereum also. There's something I'm looking for injective. If it happens, I'm looking for this break of this line, this trend line in here. But it hasn't happened yet. But I'm looking at this as a possible entry. Let me just go ahead and share that while I'm here. So I'm looking for this on injective and then theta. If it gives it right now, we're not coming back down to it. But I'm looking for us to push further into this weekly range in here. It's a weekend, so they may want to run prices up. It could end up getting a head and shoulder. I wouldn't be looking for this anymore. If we end up getting a head and shoulder formation, if we come up and we just put in a lower high in here, I'll be looking lower. I'll be looking down in here. But if it gives it, then this is what I'm looking for here. Can't move it right now. I got it locked in. So we'll see. Boom, boom, boom. Go to a monthly chart. Actually go to a 3-month. So I was looking at the so that's what the expansion is all about. It's actually monthly. I'm like, hold on, where is it? Okay. All right, so if you can bear through the noise, because I know it's noise. All right. So, I mean, basically just coming back down to back test the high in here. That's basically what it's saying with the expansion here. So I think the price can come back down here, back test the high. I really would lean more towards the 4,008 in here. We didn't get too much of a reaction this time off of that 4,008. So like we did over here, you can see how when we came into this weekly level, we rejected. Like the first time we were able to break through it, because I think that it came from over here anyway. It may have come from over here if it wasn't this level right here. And then the second time we rejected from it, and you can see how we got zero expansion here, which is why I'm thinking we can come back down here. So I'm thinking that we just breaking it and then we come back into it. It's not really expansion material. I kept saying it. I don't think that it's expansion material, but we did actually push outside of standard deviation 2 enough to flip this candle into a green color. And I think we can come back into here. And if we don't, I'd just be looking for the next expansion, which is going to come from the 3-month time frame. So here on the 3-month, you can see over here, we didn't expand. There's nothing in here that says we at the moment that we would do any of the targets that are up here. Nothing in here suggests that to me at the moment. Can it happen? Yes. Anything can happen. Indicators are just here to assist you. Price action at the end of the day will dictate what we do, but it just doesn't look like expansion material. We're breaking outside of it right now. We could end up coming back inside of it. And Ethereum could range a bit. We also have the dominance for Solana, and I'm watching that because it looks like it's getting to a place where it's gonna creep up. Now I know a lot of people want to see the high get taken first, and then maybe that's the point where Solana dominance takes over. But that's really going to affect Ethereum a lot, and that's not just going to affect Ethereum. It's going to affect the altcoin space. Period. Anytime Solana dominance comes up, the alts do not perform that well. They just don't. And that includes Ethereum. So just something that I'm watching in here. And I just think that we would come back in here. All right. Put this on a 1 and let's take a look at the altcoins here. Take a look at XRPZ, see what we got going on. We just ended up doing the 302 again. I thought maybe it would have tried to hold this here again, but simply put, all right, so that, let's delete that. This was the resistance we couldn't get past yesterday. I'm gonna delete that. This is just some lower time frame stuff in here, so forgive me. But XRP pretty simple in here. If you're not moving away from 302, then you're likely going to come back down to 274. It's just that simple. Take that away. This is from the 15. Let me see if this is still any good for you. I'm going to drop this box because I don't like it. And he's still holding VWAP in here at the same time, so we can just go off of VWAP and then at 302 bounce away and reclaim a VWAP, or just reclaim a VWAP and make a decision to enter here. Yeah, I'm gonna delete that. And take this section right here. We're just basically lining up with your loads in here, but you can see how we had the inside bar in here, so I just happen to like the range, so I'm gonna go with that. And you did another one up here to the top, so I'm gonna go with that one. And you did another one right here, which you have gotten a push above. So that looks pretty decent here. And since it's the weekend, I would just focus on, you know what, I will just focus on the 15-minute time frame. Move, please. And not expect too much. All right, you want to continue to hold this as support in here? Let me see. There's not really anything in here that I like per se, so I just stick to that 302 down in here. Looks like you got a Bollinger Squeeze breakout. Just looking at how this is moving, it looks like it might be inside of a Bollinger. Just the price action alone looks like it is. Yeah, so you did get a Bollinger Squeeze. Just the angle of price action suggested something like that. Still very low volatility. Take that off. RSI looks okay. You can stay in here for a minute until you start to lose the 20 SMA. So what I would go with is I would still watch that 20 SMA. It look like your delta might be getting ready to turn down. So it looks like you might get one more push before you see some sort of a rejection in here. I would continue to watch the 20 SMA, but and you can go off of this top line here too and look for some sort of a just making sure that's drawn decently. Look for some sort of a reclaim inside of the range, if anything. Yeah, I'll look for a reclaim back inside the range from this rising structure in here. So yeah, just don't take the weekend too serious if you are trading in here. I think I'm gonna go ahead and take the rest of my money off of this BNB position and just close it out altogether. All right, so I just sold out of the rest of that BNB position. I just didn't like that Bollinger Squeeze to the downside here, and I'm seeing a couple of other alts drop with it. It's back on the 200 EMA now on the 5-minute time frame, but yeah, it's the weekend, so I don't want to do too much. And I guess I should at least check your 4 here just to make sure that anything you're doing in here would make sense. Okay. Pullback could be a buy off of your 4-hour. It could be for XRP, but like I said, it's the weekend, so just be careful. It's the weekend, so you're looking for a break of the neckline in here, closure above, and then your next push up will be in here. So that's what you would be looking at here for XRP, because it doesn't look too bad. Maybe an initial rejection, and then the next one you actually do get the breakout. I like the way you got the rise in here from your delta in here. So once the delta crosses the 0, you'll likely get a push up from that, and then your second push up will come from where your MACD crosses above. So then that'll be your second push. So you have your first push, which is going to be when this turns up, and I'm just going to do it like this. Let's just say, yeah, I'm going to do it like this. I'm going to say that's your first push here. If you're somebody that needs help with signals, actually we'll push it over to here. You would have been earlier if you could read that, but that would have been your first push out, and then this would have been your second one. When the MACD crosses above your delta, that's your second push right there. So it looks like you would begin your first one in here, and then your second one. So you had your first push to the upside here, and then when your MACD crossed your delta, you got your second push up. Pretty simple. You didn't even have to look at the chart to see that. So you might be alrighty here on your 15-minute time frame. Maybe another little pullback, give yourself a good entry if you're not already in something and you are trading the weekend, and then I would look for that push up. see. Solana. Yeah, everything was getting that little push down over here. This looks like it might be, I don't know, more of a channel or something. Yeah. Let me see. Let's see, Solana, you're pushing into your weekly. You're pushing into your weekly again. So 189.05. Hold on. Within your larger channel here. So nothing's really changed over here with Solana. You know what? I'm not really concerned about the highs in here for Solana. All right, so I was looking at this being a potential inverse head and shoulder in here. And then this was your back test in here of the inverse. I mean, unless it invalidates it, because it can. But it was... It's a little dead. It is a little dead in terms of how many bars you actually have over here. I can say that. I'm always freezing stuff, so I can't see it on other time frames, and so automatically the system starts to do it. I mean, if we can say it's that, I mean, I can't guarantee, and then that would have been your measured move, would have been coming back up towards your channel, top side of your channel. And I'm just considering this to be a back test in here. And then you get the continuation up for Solana. And at least that's how I'm looking at it. I can't say that, for sure that's what it is, but that's how I'm trying to observe it. My observation. If you do start to lose that, I mean, I guess we can say in here, it has had like 3 bounces in here so far, 3 reactions within here. I usually just go with the top and the low. But you have had some good reactions in here. And that's exactly what I would have went with too. And it looks like it did on that bounce was this candle right here, because you had it inside, you started coiling in here before you got to break up. So that would have made sense. And it looks like that's basically what you did on the back test in here. So maybe that can work again, because you did do the same thing right here. So if you do start to push down a little bit more, I would look at this 173.43, and then lastly I would look at the 164.78. And if you start to reclaim this again, then that could be your point of go. I would bring it in just a little bit just to make sure that we're actually going to hold it. But that would be next. In the event that this is not some sort of an inverse head and shoulder, this wasn't just a back test and you're not about to go to Valhalla. Thank you. Okay, thank you. This is what we were looking at on the 15-minute time frame. Nothing was managing to break up and out. We identified the trap. Oh yeah, thank goodness I did take my profit on that BNB. Take this away here. So that was just a break back below your 20 SMA. 21 if you go with 21, but your 20 SMA there. Still trying to correct over here on the 1 hour time frame. Probably going to be better for you to just take a conservative entry, and conservative would be once your MACD crosses up your zero line. That's going to be a lot more conservative of an entry, but it is a bit more confirming. It can always fail, but it is a bit more confirming if you just wait on that. You're trying to hold in here. I'm trying to break up again. That failed. You know what? You don't even need that. Just drop that trend, drop this level in there, and just look for a break above, or you can just say off of this candle wick right here. You want to see price managing to get above here. Who? I was going for this anyway. EMA. So you're below your 200 at the moment on the 1 hour time frame. Won't he do it? So I do like this even more now. See, this looks more like a inverse head and shoulder. Well, like I said, in the event that price does start to slip it, that back test on that neckline, then it may not be that. And I would be looking for price to come back down here. This would be an invalidation point for me personally. A lot of people like to wait for that. This would be an invalidation point for me. But yeah, you could come back in down here. So that's why I would look for to the low. I would look for this to get taken to the low on Solana. It's the weekend, so you might get some sort of price action, something in here being the weekend, but that's what I would look for. Right now, you're just trying to do these highs. You're not really getting any action out of these highs. I know you're hitting these lows in here, but you didn't get a good reaction in here. Period. Cardano, I was looking at this rising structure in here on Cardano yesterday. I was looking at this rising structure, and this was supposed to be the measured move down, which is supposed to bring price back into this box right here. So far, that did not happen. You got a little bit of a pushback in here, but it didn't meet this measured move in here. It just started going sideways afterwards. So I'm going to take this away. Since that did not happen, just take it away. And so, oh, that's not an actual pivot from here. All right. I'm going to see if it pushes back inside this range. But either way it goes, if it has to continue to put in these bearish formations, then it's probably going to get a push down. It's probably going to do more than what it's doing now. And I would just, I would keep this on my radar as a potential drop back in. You really don't want to deviate too far away from the trend line here. The dash trend line, again, that is your weekly. That's this in here that ADA was having a hard time breaking. Finally got to push above. So you don't want to deviate too far away from that. You do start to deviate too far away from that. I'm just going to repeat this. 82 will be on the table, and so with 72. 82 and 72 will be back on the table for Cardano. You manage to hold and push up, then you can see what the next levels in here are. 110, 120. Really like this 131, to be honest. So 131 is something that I would be looking at. You had a few rejections in here prior to getting up to that 131, but I like 131. And so far, it looks like he just did a back test. And that was it. Just a back test here. Okay. You need some fuel. You can also see if you get an SFP reaction. That's unless it capitulated right here, because you're stalling out after such a large candle. It is an order block. Mm-mm. I don't like it. Not yet, anyway. But if price action does start to push back up, I mean, it is. Sorry. My mouth is full. You shouldn't really be stalling out after this, but you are, which could indicate capitulation. I have to wait on this candle to close though, 43, and then see if we take the high. If you just do a sweep of the high, then forget about it. This is all bearish. I just wouldn't want to. It's all bearish though. I wouldn't be interested. I'm gonna let this play out before I go to the next one. I know that Hedera is setting up for some sort of a explosive move, but I did go over this yesterday. I think that it's going to take a little while for it to play out, though. I don't remember which time frame I was looking at. Let me cut the noise. Still in an uptrend here for Hedera. I know that we're hitting our major resistance up there. Not able to get past bandwidth 1 here to the upside. And we keep trying to hold VWAP support in here. Let's see which one of these it may have been. Alright, so I think it was this. I think it was the weekly. While it is still in an uptrend, just to be prepared for a move down, because I think that this liquidity in here might get taken. So you can see how we're rejecting from bandwidth 1. And we're trying to maintain VWAP in here. I think that there is the potential for us to take another dip down here on H bar. How soon that happens, that's going to be the thing. If this pattern formation in here fails to play out and H bar doesn't manage to get that break above here, if it doesn't manage to be successful with the formation that it's trying to build in here, then I will be looking for it to come back down in here for this liquidity in here. You can look back here to the 19 cents in here to see if we hold in here, since we did, on the daily time frame, get a chotch in here. But another leg down would be coming back in here to around 12 again and taking the liquidity in here, and then looking for another bounce back up and out for this. Because right now the only read is low volatility. That's the only read we're getting off of it right now. It's just that it's low volatility. And we can see that from the VWAP itself. It's got mad resistance in here. Let me look back at that ADA, because I'm not going to do any more than those today. Weekly for ADA looks nice over here off of this. Well, you're hitting that resistance. Let me put this back to 20. The market just doesn't do what it used to do before. Man, that's the truth. Gonna get a drop in here soon. I think it's the 2-day for everybody. Be watching that 2-day. Two-day gonna send prices down. Were we just looking at this on the 4? Maybe we didn't. Alrighty, that's what we were just looking at. Trying the SFP right now. This isn't something I would touch yet. I mean, like I said, you could try to do this SFP. It's not really something that I would touch just yet. trying to slow down. Still doesn't look good enough to me. You're trying to slow down, but it just still doesn't look good enough to me. Try this again. Actually, let me just use this one and try it again. Didn't quite work the last time. This is what we were measuring out the first time too, was coming back into here. Like I said, you're trying to slow down in here. This looks kind of dead though. That looks kind of dead. No confirmation yet to go long. Just gonna move that out of the way. I'm gonna adjust this line. I think I did anyway. I'm gonna add one more. But the first one is the one I'm looking at. Pink. And this way I know it's an actual 4-hour zone and not just based around a candlestick. Bitcoin at the moment is still sitting inside that green box, so it hasn't really done anything. Whatever's happening over here must be based around Ethereum. No, not at the moment, because this is showing that Ethereum is trying to kill the selling pressure in here right now. Let me look at the dominance. Yeah, Ethereum dominance did get whacked over the head, and Bitcoin dominance is trying to push back up again. So let me take a look at that real quick here. All right, so Bitcoin dominance and what we were looking at on Bitcoin dominance. That's like the third time actually has come up here. Got rejected here, got rejected there. We ended up breaking it in here. We're falling back below it, but we're holding. So Bitcoin dominance is still doing something in here. It looks like some sort of a bear flag or something at the moment. And Ethereum dominance here, you can see it came up and it rejected off of this low here. So this is the range that we were monitoring yesterday in here. And then this is the level here. If we did fail here, to look for in here. It's down here for Ethereum dominance. And then let me see. The other ones are really not going to matter. That's the VIX, and we can see the VIX stopped out there. But I have to worry about that one right now. USDT dominance is going up, bouncing off of its macro trend line. So that may not be too good. That may not be too good, because it is bouncing away from its macro trend line in here. And that could be problematic for the altcoin space, the crypto space altogether here with dominance. USDT dominance, Solana dominance, still in the same place. Pretty close to tapping into this first little zone in here from the weekly. And then this one, I really think between these two and here, I was leaning more towards this one, that we could see Solana dominance start to come up. But for now, that's what we got going on over here. Yeah. This is what I was looking at yesterday for Aerodrome. I talked about this. I said, if you're in Aerodrome, please watch this formation in here, because, this could be breaking down in here. You could come back into the channel. Maybe you can use the channel that it broke up out of as some sort of support. It did manage to hold it somewhat in here. It lost it and it reclaimed. So that would have been a good entry here going up. But if it comes down and it doesn't hold it, then you could be coming back into these levels in here. So 93. I think this was a 4-hour level right here at 85. But 93, 85, and 78. I'd be looking in here for a return. If you don't do a bounce away again, your return would be in here for Arrow. Let me just check back on XRP because I know we were looking at XRPZ in here too. All right. Trying to build a range in here right now. XRP. We just did an engulfing though. So it looked like it was trying to hold, back testing that weekly range again. Still holding in here. So that's not bad so far. I did close this out. You heard me say I'm go ahead and take the rest of that profit. I didn't like that candle at all, so I took the rest of the profit out of here after making it to a 2-to-1. That wasn't bad. It was decent returns on this right here. Triple top, range break, base drop, and then we'll see how we do if we end up coming back down in here or something. I'm watching it. May take a quick scalp off of it on the 5-minute time frame, but otherwise I won't be doing too much trading because it is the weekend. Back over here to our ADA. Holding inside so far. So you do got a little bit of an inside in here. I was noticing that, but we'll see what happens. I don't really like the reaction in here, and I would just like this more. I would like this more. I would like for us to actually complete the range, the measured move. Take some liquidity from this right here. That would be nice. A nice reaction candle in here. Versus this in here. You really got a nice, decent reaction off of this candle. So I would like to see that liquidity be taken. And then start to look for a push up. Last time in here, let's see. Nope. Because it's the only one that didn't come back in and take the liquidity from these lows in here. As far as what I've looked at thus far, ADA hasn't taken the liquidity in here. And BNB took liquidity from in here. Cardano took the liquidity from in here. Ethereum did as well. Got a sea of red wine on crypto bubbles here. This is a reaction of from the RSI again. Uh, RSI doesn't look good right now though. But that is again, that was your fast signal. That was just a fast signal trying to slow it down. Perhaps with this, you can get a bullish divergence off of the MACD or the Delta, either one of those, possibly even both of these here, MACD and RSI. Get a push up and then a drop back down, put in some bullish divergence, and then ADA could get a push up. And it may only be the back test here. This was a nice little post in here from Cointelegraph. I did I did take a look at this yesterday. So while we're just chopping around in here, we can check it out. It's pretty decent. You know, they were covering a couple of things. Levels look pretty in sync with what I have. This was Bitcoin in here. You can see what they're looking at in here. You can go in and actually read this article in here. Let's get to the one in here on Cardano. They had BNB in here as well. We haven't made it down here yet. I like BNB again for a sec right now. Let's see. That's Solana, Doge. Here's their Cardano right here. So on their Cardano, they're looking at 85, it looks like. I can't really zoom in on it, but it looks like they're looking for 85 in here. That's a potential. They're looking at this level, this leg in here of support. We're far from that right now. Look at the bear dip in here for Cardano on that daily time frame. And if it's not that, they are looking at the target up here as well. Looks like that's 125. And then further down, they're looking at the lows in here, which has some really good liquidity. Look at that. 1, 2, 3. And that's some really good liquidity in here for ADA. But go check this out. Got Chainlink, got, Doge, BNB, ETH. Some pretty nice levels for you to watch. So far, no liquidity take from this low or this high so far of this candle right here. Let me zoom out. 5 minute. Just trying to see what we're doing in here. Got nothing really. 3. All right, we're creeping up on 7 o'clock. I'm going to stay on stream for about another 30 minutes. At least try to get price action opportunity to do something. I mean, it's the weekend, so a low liquidity weekend. Price action manipulation. Be careful again if you are trying to trade the weekend stuff in here. This might be something I look to play this weekend, just if it meets my criteria. And again, I would like to see the liquidity from this low right here get taken for ADA. If it does that, then I'd be more interested because it keeps putting in these bearish patterns here at the top side. That's the second one. So it just tells me that, it has some weakness in trying to make these moves to the upside. Even if it does make it, there is some weakness and I can still wait for a better pullback to play around with it, which is why I intend on waiting. If it does this in here, then I might get interested right here. I'm more interested in here, not really interested in here. So it has my interest here. And then from there, I just start to look in here a little bit more. There is one more level in here, which is around this weekly one right here. And I'm just going to go ahead and add that in here. I know that we've reacted off of that a few times, so I don't want it to be, let me see. It's here. All right. Hold on, I forgot I modified the settings on this. Good Lord. Forgot that I did that. I got to change some stuff. I'm so sorry. I've got to change some stuff. I forgot that I moved the setting on this. I totally forgot that I did that. Ay, ay, ay. That's where that was supposed to go. This is supposed to go here. And then this isn't actually a range, it is a line. And this, forgive me, this is actually a 4-hour, but it's wider. And it looks like that. And the top side being the newest portion of this range. I'm so sorry. I modified the settings and I forgot that I did that. Let's put this inside. Right. Just like that. And this was like this. Alright, yeah, I totally forgot that I did that. My apologies. And so this is correct now. I still feel the same about this, regardless, I still feel the same about that. I'm glad I came back in and looked at it. Now it makes a lot more sense. All right, so you took the liquidity from the top of that first inside bar. And you held that 4-hour zone. Okay, makes a lot more sense. Yeah, this isn't for me, but in this event, you could have done something like that where where you made this candle bar your entry, that one your stop, and then scalp it up to about here and look for rejection off of morning daughter. Look for a rejection off of here. If it manages to come back up into there, this isn't for me. I want this. This is the condition that I'm looking for um, personally. But this is an option right here for you. If, that's an option for you. It's almost a 4-to-1. So let's see if you draw a fib on this. Let's see what you're getting. All right, so you're below your golden pocket if you draw it from, yeah, you're drawing a fib on this range right here. And I probably would have did that as a range. That's the golden pocket there. Off of that. Yeah, it's just not for me. I like this right here a lot more. Too slow in here, and then I don't like the way the RSI and the MACD look at the moment. I don't like that. So you have no bullish divergence whatsoever right now after such an impulsive candle. So I wouldn't like it. I would at least like to see some strength come in. You're really slow in here as well. That's just a little petty relief bounce in my opinion. And my sights would be down here. Because you got no decent reaction off of this low. And you're fighting it right now. This is about the only thing in here is the range. The range that it got and the fact that it came back up the liquidity of the first inside bar. It's not for me. Let's see how it goes. We'll call it practice. I'm gonna practice on these inside ranges. So we're taking the indicators out of this, and we're just looking on the looking at price action. Not that. And if you don't mind, let me just add this in here. It's very useful for someone who doesn't really know when to take some profit or whatever. It's very useful. All right. And the goal should be to at least do a 3-to-1. So I'm going to change this just to make it a 3-to-1. And where it reads profits locked, that's your 1-to-1 reward to risk ratio. I said I was going to do that BNB again, and I didn't do it. That's a nice little scalp on that BNB that I could have taken. Hey, let me slide this out of the way. Slide it back over here. Let me turn that one off too. And the reason why I didn't put the stop loss below and I put it on top of this wick here is just because I didn't like the chart. I just don't like it, and that's the reason why I put it on the wick. Because normally you wouldn't want to put it on the wick. You would want to bring it down a little bit more, just in case you do get a liquidity sweep and not a run on liquidity. So in case this isn't just a little small retracement, and it's not, and it in case this isn't um, just going to be a liquidity sweep again, and it's going to be a run on liquidity, and you come down here. That's why I did it like that, as you want to give it some space. Mm-hmm. Let me check in on Bitcoin, see what we're doing over here. I'm gonna put that right back on ADA. I just wanted to show you over here on Bitcoin. So we did end up breaking below this trend line here, the ascending trend line, and reclaiming it, but we held the range in here. We held the range. Ethereum got another tap into that monthly level over here, that 3-month wick. So we know we're putting in some sort of a rising formation here inside of this range. We know we're doing that. I just wanted to zoom in a little bit more. Let me make sure that's locked. Okay. Just wanted to zoom in a little bit more so we know we're putting in some sort of a rising formation within this range. I'm just going to change the color so we're not blending in with green and red everywhere. So you're not getting the closure above here. If we had to zoom that on the 5-minute time frame, that would have made it later anyway. Actually got a clean rejection from it the first time, it looks like. Right here. I got a clean rejection the first time. Top and tails. Oh, we know that's coming from here. That would have gave a better entry. I've just been trying to avoid these low time frames though. That would have been better. A little symmetrical triangle in here. But that's all in hindsight, right? That's bad. This could be the point where we put in some bullish divergence. But we won't know that using no indicators. Just depends on how price action moves. We know this is a bear div because we move fast here and slow up. So likely some sort of a bear div in here. Forgot that we have volume on. I don't know if that counts or not. Hopefully it can invalidate this. Let's see what a midpoint is on this thing. Looks like a bear flag though. I mean, we got the decline in volume in here. That could confirm. I'm not gonna leave these lines in here. We got enough lines going on. That's what it looks like. These candles are moving so slow. I don't really want to see them move much faster. And that is so super slow. I'm gonna put it back on that 5 minute. I just want it to. It's just a little too slow. Yeah. Mm. Yep, Ethereum dominance is going down again. Bitcoin is taking a little bit of it's still in the green box, so it hasn't moved outside the green box. But it does have a little bit of a rejection off of the 1 hour, and the dominance is going up. And ADA is performing very poorly against Bitcoin right now. Very poorly. It is the weekend, baby. All right, so far, still trying to hold this little 4 hour range. All right, we're breaking that again. Could now be coming down here to take out that low. We'll see. If we're not holding that again, fast move down, slow move up, potential bear flag in there. All right, so that took it out. Hitting in on that liquidity down here, so that stopped this out. But again, like I said, I just felt more comfortable putting it on here, even though it could just do a sweep and maybe try to bounce away. I don't like the RSI right now. I think I'm gonna drop this range. I'm gonna let it close outside this range and then I'm gonna drop it. Actually, if there's a need to draw it back, I will. I'm gonna take it away for now. All right, and I'm gonna say that this is a done deal. And let's look back at the indicators now. All right. Still doesn't look like we would get that bullish divergence right here. Maybe we will. Take this away. I still prefer this again. Let's set this aside. I still prefer this level, like I said. Just nice reaction off of this level. And at some point, ADA has to meet the measured move. Like this is the second rising formation in here. We should meet the measured move at some point. We can't keep looking for prices to go higher if we keep putting in another bear pattern after another bear pattern. We need to meet the measured move. And this one so far, again, is one of the only ones, my computer's freezing up, one of the only ones that hasn't swept this, hasn't taken out this low. And there's no strong reaction coming off of this either. There is no strong reaction coming off of that either. From my range, no strong reaction. All right, I'm gonna take a look at some liquidation levels in here. This is just the past 24 hours. Let's just look at the past 3 days. It's quite exaggerated on the bullish divergence. If it tries to go now, it would probably be my fault for setting the stop loss right here. It's just, and I know that a liquidity sweep can happen and go, but I just don't like it in here anyway, which is why it's just a practice in here. And it probably will want to go. Yeah, it probably will. It probably will. It needs to be a quick candle though to take out this high. It's still a little slow. It needs to be fast enough to take out that high. Oh, I'm sorry. I had my mic muted. I said put some real money on it this time. And the only reason why I'm doing it is because we do have the exaggerated bullish divergence in here. And we do have the exaggerated bullish divergence in here. And we swept that liquidity from the range that we were in and we came back up into it. So I kept it small. My position size is small because I know that it's the weekend and the liquidity is rather low. And you can't trust any of this price action. And I'm still interested in down here, but I put real money on it this time. Need some volume though. We still don't have anything. Like we're still dragging. Okay. All right, and just to share, this thing is being funny. All right, just to share that I actually did take it this time. And that's the entry right here. And again, it's just for the reasons that I mentioned. But the stop is really close. We start coming back out of here again. I'm done. I'm not. Yeah, it's closed. It's closed. Let's set that stop loss. It's actually before that. Where did I set it at? Yeah. 0.9015 on blow fin. That's what I set it as, 0.9015 on blow fin. So just below here. It's barely below it. And it closes it out. And I use the 5x leverage on it. The bullish divergence is a bit exaggerated, so it's not the strongest bullish divvy. We did print a bear div right here. For now, because we're moving really slow, like we need a quick move up. And since we don't have any strong reactions down here, we're not getting the quick move up. Yep, super slow. right, that was my entry point. That just got tapped here at the low of this 4-hour range right here. So that put me back at a negative. We're slightly below it now. And again, the stop is extremely tight underneath here. Extremely tight. And after this, I won't touch it again until it comes in here. All right, so that was my first attempt here. And then I'll try it in here. Looks like we're engulfing this candle here. All right, it's about 2 minutes. I'm gonna get ready to end the stream. What I tell you in this situation right here, you could still get a relief bounce somewhere in here. I'd be more interested in here. At least for one, you play out the measured move of this rising formation in here. I think that that's pretty important. And if you come down into this zone right here and you do see something like a hammer candle, um, some sort of a doji in here, but a hammer candle is going to be better. So you want to see like a little nice reaction in here. You get something like that, and then price action starts to take out that hammer candle. Then that would be a good entry in here. Otherwise, I don't know that I would play with it too much. We did look at the fib level. Let me just check that again. All right. So your fib retracement puts you in a little bit deeper in here. For ADA, it actually puts you in here at this one here. So I would draw my fib out in here, and then I would look for this liquidity in here to be taken and see if you can respect the golden pocket if you end up doing more than this one right here. That seems okay. Let me add the 50 in here. Nope, will not be doing that. So you're probably on a fib level in here now from another low, but hold on, was it this one? No, it wasn't this one. This one. Yeah, so you are on a fib level right now from this low. And then this hits the 786 right here. And then you can extend your fib. I believe it's a good liquidity zone. So this was a good liquidity reaction in here. This is this is a really good fib reaction in here. I just happen to like that. I just happen to like it. All right, it didn't stop me out that time. That was really kind. I did not get stopped out. I thought it was about to take me out right here. Thought this candle was going to do me in. That rejection. Let me just stretch this out. Might have spoken too soon. Market's like, what? We didn't get her? Go back. Go back now. And the other thing here too is if you get down here and you're not reclaiming this 786. Oh gosh, I'm choking. You're not reclaiming this 786, then you don't want to mess with it and just let it see if you can get the reaction here at the golden pocket. But your 15 minutes shouldn't go too much further without giving you some sort of a rewarding move, at least a 3-to-1, I would say. So if it's not here again, I think it will be right here. You should get something rewarding around here. Do, 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 do. 1.618, 2.618. I probably wouldn't look past this right here on the bounce. And let's just say this was a 1, 2, 3 can be 1.618 or 2.618. Let me see something. Wave 5 would measure, a lot of times measures out to what wave 2 is. So that could make sense. That could make sense, potentially. Potentially. And I'm not an Elliotician, okay? Potentially. And then we finish her out in here somewhere. Potentially. We'll see. Uh-oh. Wow. Just wow. We back to this again. All right, let me get this off of my chart. All right, so that's it for me today. I appreciate anyone who stopped by today to hang out with your girl down the crypto TA. We'll see how this little ADA thing plays out. It just be a little scalp trade in here, and not playing around with money in the weekend, in the market on the weekend like this. So I hope that everyone has a wonderful, wonderful weekend, and I will be back on Monday. Otherwise, you can catch up with me on my X account at Down to Crypto TA. All right. Again, possibly a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Maybe we come back up here and hit this weekly average range, reject from there, and then come down here to fulfill this here, this rising wedge, something like that. Yeah. And I want to stay around for it. I really do. Stay around and see if I make some pocket change, or if I get stopped out. But either way it goes, it'll be it for me for the trading for the weekend. I did decent with I did pretty good with BNB from the BNB trade that I took yesterday. And I need to quit while I'm ahead. On my first TP. Yep, I need to quit while I'm ahead. It wasn't bad. A little 20% return on that BNB trade that I took, which I think BNB might still be holding up. Let me just check on that while I'm here. See if it's still holding up. I'm not in it anymore, but it's still holding up. Look at that, baby. It's still holding up. And no, my stop would have never been all the way down here. This is for a spot. If you were doing a spot, then that would have been fine to do it spot. But in terms of leverage, no, I would have cut this off. I did leverage trade it, of course, but I wouldn't have held it through here. 1, 2, 3, top in there. Sui still trying to hold up in here. Made off pretty good with the Sui here. Still got some open, and I'm so, yeah. I don't know about Sui for the rest of this, but I kind of like that. Whatever that is happening in here right now. But it's the weekend, so that will be Sui. And then we'll see if ADA will at least do this. If not, I'll touch it again down in here. Yeah, I'll touch it again down here. So if it doesn't go here, I will look for it in here. And then I'm going to look back for it to come back into this. At the least. At the least. Let's see my stop. I would set my stop for 50. It might be a little bit too tight for 50. $50 might be a little bit too tight, but it would be something like that. I would set it for 50 though, and then I would look for it to get up to here. If we come into here and I like what I'm seeing in here, I will jump into this right here. If not, then I will wait until we come down into here, wherever that golden pocket was at, and I would do something like that. And then again, I would still be looking for it to come up into here and keep it with the 50%, because I'll be willing to throw some extra capital into it for that. Or maybe even I'll just take it spot, and then I'll increase the I'll increase it to a 1% on spot. I can do that. It doesn't always have to be leverage. And ADA's cheap enough that you don't have to do it as leverage. So on a spot, I will increase it on a 1%. And then if we get a nice reaction in here, I'll take it. And if we come down on spot and start to lose it, then I'll be out of it and it won't hurt me, because it's a spot trade. So yeah, I could easily take this on spot. Yeah, I actually might just do it like that instead. Just take a spot position. Keep it cheap and cheesy over the weekend. Yeah, I like that idea a lot better than freaking out, right? Because you freak out with leverage sometimes. Sometimes. And with that said, I will see you on Monday at 5 a.m. and I'll update on X so you know what I'm looking at. You can already see what I'm looking at. If you're here, you can see what I'm looking at. Yeah, I'll do that. All right.